Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So if you are brand new to Beyond RC, then be sure to hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with all the latest content. Okay, so this is the ABSIMA AB3.4. Now this was the cheapest 1/10 scale RC buggy I could find. This only cost £70 here in the UK, but is it actually any good? Okay, so I'll be honest, I've heard good and bad things about this, which is one of the reasons why I actually wanted to get one for myself, so that I could actually find out whether or not it's as good as they say or as bad as they say. Okay, so in the previous video we actually took a look at what you get in the box, how this thing actually comes packaged, and what the instruction manual looks like as well. Now I'll be completely honest, I was a little bit disappointed with the way this thing was actually packaged. All the parts were all over the place, all the different bags were pretty much all over the place. There wasn't any sort of organisation at all. Usually when you buy an RC kit, things are set out for you so that it's actually easy for you to go through the different stages to actually getting it built. Unfortunately with this one, especially when I was building it, you do find yourself searching around, you know, for a massive pile of parts to find the right bag number, you know, so you can actually build whichever component it is you're building at the time. It's really not made very you know, easy for you, if I'm completely honest. But again, you know, if you've built RC kits before, that may not be an issue, but if you are a beginner and this is your first kit, it may be a problem. Okay, so in the previous video we did actually have a look at the manual for this thing. Now I've got to be completely honest, it's not very good. You're basically presented with a bunch of exploded diagrams. There isn't really a numbered order at all, and yeah, if I'm completely honest, it's not the best manual. Now if you're an absolute beginner and this is your first kit, I think it would scare you a little bit, because things aren't really laid out properly, things aren't really set out in a way that's easy to follow. Which would be a little bit scary, I think, to someone who is brand new to RC kits. But again, you know, if you have built a kit before, that may not be an issue. Now guys, when it comes to build time, this actually took me between 3 to 4 hours to put together. I actually did it over the course of 2 evenings. So yeah, build time didn't take too long. But again, I think that could have been reduced slightly if the manual was a little bit easier to follow. Now guys, I don't think you'd want to see 3 to 4 hours of video footage, if I'm completely honest. So I have just stuck the camera on hyperlapse, and it's pretty much just going to run through and show you very briefly what I did. Now this isn't a step-by-step guide on how to build one of these. If that's something you would like, I may be able to put that together in the future, but we're talking, you know, potentially 3 to 4 hours worth of footage, which may not be ideal for some people. But yeah, hopefully you enjoy the hyperlapse that I've put together, which will give you a little idea of what I'm actually doing. You may not be able to see very clearly what I'm doing, but you get the rough idea. I'm probably going to stop the camera at certain points to explain a few things. But apart from that guys, enjoy the footage, enjoy the actual build, and I'll see you at the end of it when it's all done. Guys, it is worth noting that this does actually come with bushings rather than bearings. It's more than likely going to be the first thing I upgrade if I decide to do any little upgrades. Now, there's nothing wrong with this, guys. You know, I've used bushings before, but they do cause unnecessary resistance. So you will get better performance out of a set of bearings. So it's definitely something to bear in mind. I mean, this is a cheap kit, so you do sort of expect it. Right then guys, so just a little progress update. So we're pretty much halfway through the build. We're around about this sort of step. Not having too many issues with it, if I'm completely honest, but I'm struggling to find the screws for this steering assembly, which is the reason why I've actually skipped that part for the time being, and I'm going to go back to it at the end when I actually find the screws, because I cannot find the screws for this anywhere. 1230190 is actually this part here, and there's no screws in that bag, so I have no idea which screws they are or where they are in this pile. So what I'm going to do, the plan is to skip that for the time being, finish the rest of the build, and then see what hardware is left, and then we will see if we can find those 2 screws anywhere. But that's the one of the errors I've actually found in this manual already, apart from the fact that it's not very good. I have also come across a printing error whereby I cannot find these screws anywhere. Right then guys, so this is pretty much where I got to with it last night. It got quite late, so I did actually go in, but this is pretty much where I got to. The only thing that's fitted at the moment is the sport tuned motor, and that's just because everything was out already, so it made sense to put that in at the time. We've got to still fit the servo, the ESC, and then obviously get the Dumbo RCX4 all set up and put in as well, and then hopefully we can be done with it guys. Now the build process wasn't too bad. As I said, the manual's not great. There is a few areas in the manual which, you know, you do sort of question yourself. There is a little bit of guessing involved, trying to look at the diagrams and all the pictures and whatnot. They're really not great guys, to be fair. It wasn't particularly difficult to put together, but again, like I said, slightly confusing. Now I have put kits together before, so I didn't struggle too much, but if you're brand new and this is your first kit, you may find it a little bit difficult. Okay guys, so servo's fitted in. Now I haven't screwed the servo horn on yet because I want to get it all powered up, and then I will get it all centered and screw the servo horn in, which is the best practice, because if you don't, things aren't going to be all centered. So going to get the Dumbo RC set up. We're going to stick the ESC in as well, which will supply the power to the servo, and then we're going to get it all screwed down, and hopefully we've got steering guys. Now guys, we're pretty much there. So the ESC receiver and everything is all put in there now. Just going to have a little look at the cable management obviously, but just wanted to get everything set up, make sure everything is working, which I will demonstrate actually is. So yeah, we're just going to have a little look at the cable management, and then that is pretty much that. Build is done. Okay then, so as you see, this thing is pretty much complete now. We've got the electronics in there, the Dumbo RC X4 is all set up, and this thing is basically ready for its first test run. Now guys, there was a few little issues along the way. Obviously, the bushings instead of bearings isn't necessarily an issue. This does actually use bushings instead of bearings. Now obviously this is a cheap kit to save on cost. It's obviously the reason why ABSIMA decided to go for bushings. Now I have used RC kits before that actually include bushings, and to be honest with you, they're not an issue. I think it only becomes an issue when you decide you want to start going brushless. When you're actually wanting more power out of the vehicle, you will find that actually going for bearings instead of bushings is really going to help you, because bushings do create friction, which obviously causes a little bit of resistance as well on the components, which can slow you down a little bit. So to free everything up, I think the first big upgrade, you know, the first real beneficial upgrade for this would definitely be a set of bearings. Obviously there was an issue with the screws in the instruction manual. Now I believe this is an error on the manual itself. I can't remember exactly what screws they actually turned out to be, but I will leave a little note in the description below with the actual part number, which is the screws for the steering assembly, which you will find yourself looking through the bags and bags of, you know, screws to try and find that part number for those that set of screws that they've actually put on there. You're not going to find those screws, guys, because that is the actual part itself. But I do know which screws they are, and I will leave that part number in the description below. I believe they're the same screws that you screw the servo down with, and again, like I said, I will leave that note in the description below. So how was the actual process? Would I recommend this to someone as a first kit? So let's start with the actual process first of all. So like I said, you know, there wasn't any sort of major issues apart from the screws, which I couldn't find. Everything did seem to go together perfectly. I think assembling the front end was probably the hardest part, because I've actually found myself screwing things together and then realizing I've done it the wrong way, and then having to do it in reverse order. And that is basically because the photos aren't very clear on the instruction manual. The rear end was fine. The diffs obviously come pre-assembled, but if you see on the video, I did actually take those apart and make sure that they were greased properly. So yeah, apart from that, no real issues, if I'm completely honest. Now guys, I think one of the biggest questions you may actually want to know the answer to is this thing actually suitable for a beginner? Is this a good kit for someone who's just starting out, or is this a good kit for somebody who wants to actually who may have a ready to run car but wants a kit to actually build? I'm 50-50, guys, if I'm completely honest. It wasn't the most difficult thing to put together in the world, if I'm completely honest. I would say it is definitely possible for a beginner to build, providing you take your time, you try and work out where things go. You know, it's definitely doable. I wouldn't say it's the easiest kit to put together. I'm sort of 50-50, guys, if I'm completely honest. Now, the reason for doing this actual build is to make it as cheap as possible, to make it appealing to someone who may just be starting out. So I'm not going to say it's not suited to a beginner at all, because again, I think it does depend a lot on whether or not that person's actually capable of putting things together. If you're usually quite good at putting things together, I can't see there being a massive issue. As long as you follow the instructions closely and keep an eye on the diagrams properly, you shouldn't have too much of an issue, if I'm completely honest. Now guys, don't let me put you off. If you are looking for a cheap kit, then feel free, go ahead and get one. Obviously it's going to have its issues. It is a seriously cheap kit for what you're getting. I think you can't blame ABSIMA too much with the instruction manual, because obviously a lot of cost has been saved. You're obviously getting a lot of buggy for the money as well, so I think you can let them off with the instruction manual a little bit. Apart from that, guys, there isn't a huge amount more to say. I think we'll know more about it, we'll know how it performs, and we'll be able to tell if there's any issues with it once we actually take it for a test run, and hopefully we can get that video out there very soon. I am excited to try this out. Obviously we're using the brush setup as well, but I am excited to see how fast it is, how it performs. And yeah, what more can I say, guys? I really do hope you've enjoyed the video. Obviously this is the second video in the series now. There's going to be a few more to follow. Obviously we need to test this thing out properly, and then hopefully get a little bit of an idea of how good it is or how bad it is. So yeah guys, I hope you enjoyed it. As always, feel free to leave a comment down below. If you are considering one of these, or you may have some questions, then feel free, drop a comment down below and I'll get back to you. As always, like this video as well, and as always guys, be sure to hit the subscribe button. You know how it works now. We've already topped the 1,000 mark. Let's aim for 2,000 and then hopefully beyond. Guys, I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you again in the next video, which will be along very soon. Take care.